Quit playing those stupid video games, boy. I want to watch TV.
We're here today to talk about Simpsons Road Rage for the PlayStation 2. As you can tell by its title, the game is based around the Simpsons universe, and it basically plays like Crazy Taxi, but in Springfield. Interestingly enough, Simpsons Road Rage has sort of a plot to it, and that plot is that Mr. Burns has bought out the Springfield transit system and replaced it with his nuclear-powered buses, and he's charging outrageous rates for everybody. The entire town of Springfield, headed up by the Simpsons family, of course, decides to pitch in and provide their own taxi service using their own cars. And the goal is that you have to earn up to $1 million, and once you do, you can buy back the transit system from Burns. You start out the game with the immediate Simpsons family: Bart, Homer, Lisa, Marge, and Grandpa. And each one of those characters has their own respective car with unique handling characteristics. But as you earn more money throughout the game, you'll begin to unlock other characters as well. They range from Snake to Professor Frink to Moe to Wiggum. You name it, if you like that character, they're probably in the game. The control is just like Crazy Taxi. You pick up fares that want to go to different parts of Springfield, and you'll have the yellow arrow pointing you to where you have to go, and the quicker you get there, the more money you get. On the surface, a Crazy Taxi game based around the Simpsons universe seems like a great idea, but unfortunately, the execution in Road Rage is very poor. The control is pretty suspect. The game suffers from pretty bad collision detection problems, where you'd go to round a corner of a building or just skim by a car, and you think you have enough room to clear it, but you'll end up hitting anyway. The cars themselves are very skittish. They're overly sensitive to any kind of control input you put into them, and so you'll find yourself sliding all over the place and running into things that you didn't think were there, which is pretty unfortunate because, like I said, a Simpsons game that plays like Crazy Taxi would have been great. Apparently, the cast of characters went to the studio to record new lines specifically for the game, and while many of those lines are individually funny, while placed into the game, they're really spoken out of context. For instance, as Marge, you'd go and pick up, let's say, Mole Man, who'd want to go to the retirement home. He'd say, you know, take him to the retirement home. And Marge would say something like, easy come, easy go, which really makes absolutely no sense whatsoever in that context. And it might seem like nitpicking, but when you hear that 4 or 5 times in the span of 60 seconds, it can kind of get really annoying, and other characters have similar situations like that. The graphics of Road Rage are certainly decent. There's no slowdown really, and minimum pop-up, but the game seems to use a weird sort of cell shading. It's hard to tell whether it's actually cell shading or the textures are just plain washed out. For instance, you look at the car and you can totally tell that that's cell shaded, but the environments and the periphery objects seem to use the standard textures to skin the 3D models. However, one nice thing about Road Rage is that it will give you a fair amount of replay value. There's a head-to-head multiplayer mode where you and a buddy can play split screen, competing for fares. There's also a Sunday drive or a free roam mode where you can drive any car you've unlocked on any area of Springfield that you've unlocked. There are also 10 time-based missions. Each one is unique and isn't really connected to the previous one, but they involve various tasks like making sure Homer gets to work without Burns noticing, or driving Krusty away from a mob of screaming fans, things like that. Those 10 missions are pretty amusing, although they do get pretty hard towards the end. It's really too bad that Simpsons Road Rage suffers from the control problems and sound problems that it does, because such a game based around the Simpsons family would have been great. However, ultimately, the only people who really play this game are the die-hard Simpsons fan, and realistically, if this wasn't a Simpsons game, no one would really play it or enjoy it.